changing America. It's going to be a hard feat. But you know what? Y'all are doing it. One step at a time. And sooner or later, every American will know about DEKA. They'll come out. They'll if they're not participating, they're going to apply it, or they're going to read about it. You're not going to have naysayers, because those naysayers, man, they don't belong. They don't belong anywhere. The negative attitudes and stuff like that, don't pay attention to them. Y'all are incredible, what you're doing for America, man. And again, I love you both, man.
Welcome to the Spartan DEKA series on Spartan Up with Jarod Cogswell, Director of Sport, and Yancy Culp, Director of Programming.
What's up, Spartans? Welcome to the DEKA series on the Spartan Up podcast. We have a very special guest, somebody that's close to Yancy and I, and that's Command Sergeant Major Mike Hatfield. I tell you what, Mike has spent 31 years in the U.S. Army and 17 years in combat. So we're going to dig in deep with a lot of different topics here with Command Sergeant Major Mike Hatfield.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Headspace. You deserve to feel happier, and Headspace is meditation made simple. Go to headspace.com/Spartan for a free 1-month trial with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks, brothers. It's welcome, man. It's awesome to be here. Two of my favorite coaches in the world. Man, it's epic, as Yancy would say, to see y'all again. Last time I think I saw y'all was Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where y'all were doing great stuff with the soldiers out there with the BOSS program. It's really good to see both of y'all again.
Listen, I'm normally the king of improv on the show, but to do service to you, Mike, to do service as a veteran myself, to do service to the military, we don't improv. We ready, fire, aim. Let me back up. That's what we do as Spartans sometimes, but that's not what we do in the military. We fire last. We get our ass ready to fire.
That's right.
And I'm going to read straight from a piece of paper here, okay? Because I don't want to get a single thing wrong. With this episode, we want to provide a glimpse into the life of a man who served his country for the majority of his life. We want to share with the listeners and viewers as we lean in on Mike's life of service to help provide an understanding and vision behind the scenes. Command Sergeant Major is the highest enlisted rank in the U.S. Army. Throughout life, you will periodically meet people who earn your attention in all the best ways. And that's what Mike Hatfield did to me. When I met Mike Hatfield as a coach for the U.S. Army Ball Strong program in 2017, I immediately found myself raising my game out of respect for you. And it only took a few minutes for me to realize what kind of leader Mike was, the best kind of leader. Mike brings out the best in everyone around him. He's humble, gracious, present, strong, powerful, relentless, and he's not afraid to share his emotions with those he's leading. He's one of the most rock-solid, well-rounded humans I've ever met. The U.S. military in our country was crazy blessed to have Mike Hatfield leading the charge for 31 years. Listeners and viewers, that's 11,315 days of service to our country. Your military resume is beyond comprehension to most. It would take me 10 plus minutes to simply read through all the accomplishments, certifications, and achievements. As a veteran myself, I understand that in the military, 99% grade is failure. The goal is 100% every day. As you read down through the entire 31-year military resume, you realize that it's a career packed with training and leading in wartime situations where 100% every day was the standard. Mike, my first question for you is talk to the listeners and viewers about why, for 31 years, why 100% was the standard every single day.
First of all, Yance, what an opening, brother. Hats off to both of y'all. You had me teared up a little bit, man.
Me too, man. Me too.
I'm a big old softy sometimes, man.
I know you are.
You can't do that to me. Hey, I appreciate you. So, a lot of people do great things for so many years. And I found my niche after high school, kind of being lost in the world. didn't know where I was going, and found something that I really enjoyed: standards and discipline. And I enlisted into the Army as an artilleryman, kind of grew my roots, and I came to love. It was all black and white, nothing else. It was about standards every day. It was about discipline, or you're going to die. And that was the life that I truly lived every day for 31 years. The military is just an incredible institution that I encourage anybody, everybody to serve at least one time. It's an institution that will make you have a foundation for the rest of your life. Yancy, I know that you did some time with our other service. and
I knew that was
and
coming.
but it made that foundation for you, man, and you grew roots, and man, you just took off, and everything that you do, man, is just on the excellent level. That's what the military does for you. No matter what you touch, you're always going to give it 100%, and that's ingrained into you. It's not from day one, but as you serve more time into the military, you are expecting 100% daily. And if you don't get that, something's wrong. Anyway.
Yeah. Mike, you obviously have had an impact on so many lives, while you were serving in the military. And obviously, there's been recognition of that. And, when you hear things about the Purple Heart, the Bronze Stars, obviously all of us, I was never in the military. I only had the huge opportunity that Alpha Warrior gave me, and that is to serve our soldiers for that time in Fort Bragg. How and why did you receive the Purple Heart is one of my first questions.
Yeah, that is one of the awards that you never want to get. You never talk about it deeply. It's probably, if you're talking to a military person and they start blabbering about a military heart or a Purple Heart, it's not something that we just brag about. How's that? I've got two. It was 09 and 10 in Iraq. The first one, I was hit with a VBIED, vehicle-borne improved explosive device. A little blue Nissan came and hit our convoy, hit my vehicle, threw us all up in the air, probably 300 or 400 feet, landed. Luckily, I was just, I was banged up pretty good. Lost 3 of my brothers then, Sahib, Randall, and Polly. But, you keep on leading. That is the hardest thing to do when you lose somebody on the battlefield and you got the rest of the team that you just got to keep on pushing forward. And you got to get to that objective because it's life or death for somebody else. If you fail that mission, then someone else is going to get killed, basically. So we had to keep on continuing the mission. We've got the target, Chemical Ali, if you know, early on in the Iraqi war. And then, January is a bad month for me. So that was January 17th of 08. And then 2010, the 27th of January, I was hit with a VBIED, or an IED, I'm sorry, just a regular IED. But it came through about 2 inches above my head, through the driver's side, up, hit the gunner, and took out the vehicle, obviously next to us. Lost another soldier there. But, we learned from that incident. We learned more techniques and tactics and procedures that, weren't 100% on board. We had a thing called CVRJ, Combat Crew Radio Vehicular. It was basically a jamming device, and ours was not operational. Had no idea about it, but the driver failed to talk about it when I got in the vehicle and didn't let me know. So you go back and you do all the what ifs and shoulda and woulda and couldas, and that's the hardest thing about living with PTSD. There's a lot in your past that you want to get rid of, and you can't. You can make it better, but you can't get rid of it. So that's the 2 Purple Hearts. Bronze Stars, I've got a few of them for service over there for so many times. The first one was I was actually on the Defense Threat Reduction Agency. It's a other government agency that we were in charge of finding the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. So that was my very first tour in Iraq. Clandestine type missions, kind of what we're wearing right now, is how I went into combat in a Dodge Durango, believe it or not, and that I rented from Avis in Kuwait City. So went in, and that duty right there was taxing, because you're not only in the U.S. Army, but the U.S. Army does not recognize you because you got civilian clothes on. So anything, the average soldier out there thinks you're enemy, so they're engaging on you. Plus, you got enemy engaging on you. So it was a hectic time. You do about 6 months on, 6 months off, and you keep on rotating. I did that for about 3 years, and I said, I got to tap out with this chemical biological stuff. And I went on and came back to the regular Army, and that's when I got hit with some VBIEDs and IEDs. I think the Iraqis got something out for me, man. I don't know. Maybe they didn't want me over there. I don't know.
Well,
it's good times, man.
Yeah, I think about, somebody who doesn't understand combat and respects it, and I'm, we say this a lot as civilians, thank you for serving our country. And I think when you meet soldiers and people like yourself, and you understand them a little bit better because you get educated in the process, you say it more authentically. And so when I say this, I do thank you for your service, because then I also think about not just that moment of where your life could have been taken away, but then I think about your brothers that were in that vehicle with you, and how hard that must have been on you. Those relationships probably dig really, really deep. It's not just, he's a team member. It's like you guys have been trained together. You guys have shared stories together. They probably know more about you than even your family knows about you. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, man, you hit it right on the head. It's kind of like yours and Yancy's relationship in a way. When you have the worst days of your life, and you're with a team, it kind of ingrains that day forever with that team. I mean, you wake up and you're eating, sleeping, fighting, everything with those soldiers. And you're building a special bond that just kind of lasts a lifetime. I mean, anybody from my units could call me today and I could give you specifics about them through combat, through whatever in their life, their kids' names. You get to know them like brothers. If there's another word for a deeper relationship than brother, that's what it would be. I'm telling you, it's probably the most rewarding thing that I ever went through as a command sergeant major. It's just watching young kids grow up into the military and seeing how now they're taking my place and they're becoming first sergeants and command sergeant majors out there. And man, they're leading soldiers. And that's the best feeling in the world, is leading a soldier into combat and bringing them home.
That's a perfect lead in to my question. It's kind of a question. I knew this was going to happen. You have some questions and your mind starts going, because we have a guest like you. And when I first met you, Mike, and for the listeners and viewers, Mike's about 6'5", 250. He could break you in half in about 3 seconds. And so the
He's got big
physical
old guns too. He's
yeah, he
got them
got
on
some
an arm.
big old guns. But within, like I said, Mantra, within a few minutes, there was something about your demeanor, and you did not have a wall around you. You had that deep voice, and you were standing there tall and big, and you were a leader, and I could feel it, but there wasn't a barrier. Like, I felt myself getting close to you emotionally, and I wanted to get in closer. Like, literally, there was not that, we have I remember in the military world, and even the civilian world, some people it takes a long time to get to know them. And I remember you sharing your emotions early and often when I first met you, and I couldn't help but think, as a veteran myself, when I was a young little pisshead in the U.S. Navy, about those. And it wasn't all the leaders, but there was some leaders that you had great respect for because they had that 20, 30-year career, but you felt like you were a part of their team. And you brought me in, and I was a better version of myself day one in 2017 for that entire Boss Strong year, and the same in 2018. And I wanted to really raise my game. So my question is, as a young soldier, some of the leaders that you looked up to, and did you find yourself just naturally being that kind of leader, or is that something you worked into? Because I can tell you from a military perspective, mine pales in comparisons to yours, but that having those people that you can get close to and reach out to as your leader means a lot when the shit's hitting the fan.
Yeah, it's important. Important to kind of groom the up and coming. And man, I had some great leaders that I looked up to and kind of showed me the ropes, showed me what it was to become a young little sergeant and take care of the soldiers and know everything about them. And as a real good friend of mine today is Sergeant Major Cheryl. That dude, man, I think he stayed in my 4 point of contact daily. But he ingrained that it's about standards and discipline. It's about taking care of your kids or your soldiers. It's about showing them what's right and what's wrong. There's a lot of soldiers out there, man, that look up to sergeant majors and they just keep on until they're groomed into taking their place. I by no means, we never think that we're special at all. I think that we do our best and we influence as many people as we can, because you got to think the Army, 500,000 plus, and you're trying to make your mark into the Army. And I know y'all got some great sergeant majors on y'all staff too. Is Frank still with y'all? Frank Grippy? Yeah.
Yeah, he's still associated with Spartan, yes.
Yeah. He's an incredible human being also. And I'll digress a little bit about Sergeant Major Grippy. He was out on a mission with us. We were going out to a joint security site of mine on the Iranian border. And during one of the rotations, we were driving down and a car comes speeding by and then gets in the other lane, and there's a loud explosion. Well, they hit oncoming traffic, and we didn't hesitate to go out and help save the Iraqi that was burning in the cars. That's Frank for you, man. We jumped out, saved a few Iraqis, got back in, and took off. But that's Frank. I got a lot of respect for that guy.
Yeah, Yancy, Frank was actually on one of our calls during lockdown, and great man, great sense of humor, just, man, it brings a lot of great energy.
He really does. But as we're growing up, how do you get the people engaged enough to want to stay in the Army? Because 9 out of 10 kids that come in, they're just like, hey, I'm in it for the college, or hey, I'm doing it because mom and dad say so, or the judge said go to jail or go to the Army, that type of thing. But how do you get them engaged? How do you mold them? How do you change their life to where they want to stay in to something that's so intriguing, so important to the American people? If we had to do it all over again, and all men had to come in and serve, I think it would be a great thing in one way, but a bad thing in another, because you'd have people that never want to be there. Right now in today's military, you have someone that's in those ranks, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Space Force, that want to be there. And if you can go out and touch them and just say, hey, this is the right way, that's what our leaders should be doing. Going out, influencing those young little leaders, growing them to have them take our place when we're gone, so we're protected.
Mike, you also managed the MWR program, Morale, Welfare, and Recreation for the Army. And can you tell us more about that? Because I think that's how we got involved. I was trying to understand all the connections along the way when Yancy and I were coaches for Alpha Warrior and the Boss Strong competition. Can you share that a little bit and the mission behind all of that?
Of course. So as you're going along in the Army, once you're a Command Sergeant Major, they just kind of move you around where they need you, how to influence and stuff. And I got the privilege to be the Morale, Welfare, Recreation, and I also had family programs underneath me for all 75 Army bases. That's every bowling center, so 188 bowling centers, 67 golf courses, 222 fitness centers, 218 childcare facilities, and it keeps on going on and on. ACS, the Gold Star families, so many programs, about 34 programs underneath me. And I got the privilege, to hear General Milley talk to me about revamping the Army's fitness. That's how this is kind of all tying together. I got called into the Sergeant Major of the Army's office, Dan Daly, and General Milley was there and saying, hey, we got a serious problem with our gyms. Our soldiers are not going in there, or they think they're junk, and I need you to fix it. Here's your budget, millions of dollars. It was a great thing. So I went out and I tried to be like the Gold's Gym or the Anytime Fitness, because that's what I had thought we wanted to do as an Army, because all the soldiers were going to Gold's Gym off post. So I figured, hey, I'll go buy the best equipment out there, refurbish all 222 gyms, send money out there, and let's make it happen. About 8 months later, I got called back in to Sergeant Major of the Army's office. General Milley standing there, and he's like, you know what? You broke the Army. I'm like, well, that's not the conversation I really thought we were going to go down. I thought he was going to give me a pat on the back, say, hey, these gyms are great. But he said, you know what? Now, every gym that you've refurbished, soldiers go in there, put their headphones in, and don't talk to anybody. You took the team out of the Army. And I just kind of like, whoa, I don't understand. It took me a while to really process his thoughts on gyms and, functional fitness. And, he couldn't stand CrossFit because, blowing out spines. We had 107,000 non-deployable soldiers. And that's a lot when we're trying to do rotation after rotation. And, I started thinking back and I was like, well, we got to get something in there. I need some great coaches. I need to get them out there, and I need to start training the Army on the proper way to do fitness. Because, man, I love my Army, but we had fitness wrong for so many years. When I first came in, we were running with boots. Thankfully, that went away. But then we went to the 3-event PT test: push-ups, sit-ups, and run. So what do you think we always did when we did PT? We did push-ups, sit-ups, and run. And we'd always train for that test, and that's it. We'd run, if there was a 12-mile road march that we had to do for the 18th Airborne Standard, we had to do it in like 3 hours. We would do 24 miles just to train for that 12-mile. breaking bodies. And, the skeletal system, man, it's fragile. I've got I probably got more fake parts in me now than my Ford truck. So I learned the hard way. So it's my passion to still get back out there. And the way I did it, I grabbed single soldiers of the Army. There's 277,000 single soldiers in the Army. And I said, they've got the spirit of the influence. They're from the bottom up. Let's change fitness from the bottom up. And we started going after it, and we came up with, Boss Strong. It was actually after NBC show Strong that, our coach, Benny Wiley at the time, won that competition. Mm-hmm. I brought Benny in. I said, Benny, this is what we want to do. We want to do a TV show for 2 weeks. You got all these soldiers competing from all over the world. I'm going to bring them in just like you did on Strong. But I want the best coaches in the world. I want the best coaches. I want to show them what fitness is all about. And I want 3 PT sessions a day. And that's all I told him. Well, of course, Yancy came into the fold, and man, they started mind belting and moving this mold around, and they came up with this plan that was, holy cow, man. The NFL, I'm telling you right now, would still be jealous. I'm a firm believer in that. They woke them up. I think Yancy had to get up at 4:30 every morning.
Oh yeah,
Jarod, I know you got the second year, man, and it was rough. But that first year, I think we were trying to figure it all out. That first year, Yancy get up about 4:30, come in, and I made all the coaches do the same exact thing that a soldier would do on a daily basis. And then not only the coaches, I brought in some world-class athletes from the world-class athlete program, which is Army Olympians that I managed. So I brought them in to team up with the best coaches in the world. And we kind of started the Boss Strong, and it went for 2 weeks, and we did measurements and, working out 3 times a day and doing a lot of morale and welfare in there, building their morale, teaching them about fitness, teaching them about the Army. And that's what the coaches really, I thought it was the best thing in the world, because to see the number one coaches in the world mingling with our soldiers and teaching them about life, not only fitness, but about life. Man, after 2 weeks, those soldiers went back to their duty stations and spread like wildfire. Hey, this is what we're going to do in fitness for the Army. This is the number one coaches in the world. And man, that group just kept on growing and growing and growing. And then the very next year, man, Jarod, you're a part of it. It was rough. I know y'all had to sleep out in a camper, the size of a shoebox, but man, you got to experience what soldiers go through on a daily basis. I know you didn't serve, Jarod, but man, you act daily like you served. The standards that you've got, the discipline that you showed throughout that whole Boss Strong was incredible, man. I can't wait to do another one. Y'all have so much influence in the Army right now. I know y'all, I follow y'all on Facebook. I know y'all still have all y'all's teams and the teams of teams. They all follow you, and y'all are still influencing it. And I'm hoping they're out at DEKA. They better be.
Yeah. We hope that too. I will say this. It's hard to not be emotional about the Boss program and working with those soldiers and representing Alpha Warrior.
Yeah.
Probably it's not probably, it's the most memorable, biggest opportunity I've ever been given in fitness. And the impact that it has on the soldiers and us as coaches and everybody involved, it matters. And that's why it's a big deal to have you as the leader on this show. You are a guy that, I know Yancy and I, we talk about you all the time, man. We we talk about our 16 days and being in that small RV together, and we wouldn't be here talking right now amongst the three of us if we hadn't been given that opportunity. And I thank you for that.
Thank you, brother.
I want to, Mike, you briefly brought it up early in the show, but because of you and because of Boss, we came up with, I had never heard it before we all came up with it as a team, but and it's something that I want to have stick forever. It's something that I want the average civilian to grasp. Is we said the most important athletes in our country are the U.S. military. And I really think our veterans as well, because once you've served, you go on and we want to create that culture. And I know from the Spartan side, from the Alpha Warrior side, there's so much cohesiveness that we have in common with the fact that we want to do everything we can do to improve that fitness culture. And when it happens in the military and as it gets better and that starts, because I think there's a misperception, you and I specifically talked about this, is a lot of civilians say, oh, that's the military. They're in amazing fitness shape. It's not the case. And I would love for you to expand on that when I'm done here. It's just, so as we work together as a team to improve that fitness culture, I really want the civilians out there watching this to know that they are the most important athlete. As a civilian, I stay in shape so I can go snow skiing with my kids. I can go hike the Grand Canyon with my kids. I can say yes to things like vacations and live a fruitful life. But when we're in the military, there's a second reason why we're staying in shape. Yeah, we want to look good in our bathing suit also, but we have to be able to perform when we're called. Because me respecting my machine allows me to provide for the brother next to me and the sister next to me. It's a different reason. It's an added reason to stay physically fit. So please feel free to take the floor and expand on that.
Yeah, man. So, we get people into the military from all walks of life. They have to meet a minimum standard to come in, do a few push-ups, sit-ups, and, they can kind of jog around. And, that able body is equal to about 1% of America because they got a clean background and we can bring them in. We can almost teach them any type of fitness. That was the mentality the whole time. But they would come in and they would fall out of a 1 mile run or a 2 mile run or 3 or 4, and they just don't have, we treat our bodies as a weapon system. This is a weapon system. I got to make sure I maintain it. Whatever I eat, whatever I exercise, whatever, I got to be ready to go at a moment's notice. I got to be prepared for the worst day of my life. And that guy next to me or that gal next to me, they better be doing the same thing because I'm dependent on them. So, it takes a long time for someone coming out of high school or out of, a four-year university, getting their degree and coming into that culture that it's all about fitness. Fitness is the most important thing that you do on a daily basis. It is. It might not be all you do that day, but it's the most important. I think Sergeant Major of the Army Dan Daly, struck that with us many times when he came out and talked to us. But molding those young soldiers and trying, there's leaders out there that just do the bare minimum. And there's, they'll do the push-ups and run and sit-ups, and then that's it. They eventually get weeded out, and then the other ones get elevated in rank and try to, their sphere of influence. But it is a hard thing if you're trying to change the culture of the Army from a 3-event PT test to now a 6-event. I would like to say that all the coaches out there that have been part of Boss Strong helped change that to now the Army Combat Fitness Test, 6 events, plus now they finally get to plank after instead of the knee tuck if they want them. So that's a good thing. But changing the culture, it started with y'all. It really did. I mean, y'all got to go in there and be with soldiers and talk to the senior leaders of the Army. I mean, every senior leader was at those events, and y'all got to show them what fitness really is. And you know what? Sergeant Major of the Army Grinston now, he was at Fort Bragg on the Alpha Warrior battle rig, and y'all were dusting him off. But afterwards, he said, that's the best PT session I've had in a very long time. That's what we need to do every day. And that was my dream. Just change the culture of PT. Yeah, and y'all did that for me, man. I give all the credit to y'all. That's an amazing feat.
We definitely were able to experience that, Mike. And believe me, as much as I get emotional about the Boss Strong experience, I've never had more fun. We had a blast working with the soldiers, working with the other coaches, just being a part of the overall experience. But we also, I think what gets missed in fitness in general is it's not just the physicality of it, but it's what it does for you mentally and emotionally. And we're trying to put all these pillars together, right? And there's so many benefits to fitness. And I saw the impact that had on my team, and I know Yancy saw it on his team. And I want, for the record, for the viewers and the listeners to know that my team beat Yancy's team, and we were the champions. But I'll say this though: Yancy gave me a lot of coaching tips before I even arrived at Fort Bragg, and he set me up for success. But we just had a blast. You mentioned earlier, and and I hope this is okay to talk about, but we talking about the topic of PTSD. I see the programs like Boss and the fitness side of things as being potentially something that can be helpful, but it's not the cure. Can you expand more on that? Because a lot of that, we talked a lot about that, suicide rates in the military, really hard topics. And we knew that some of these kids, like you said, I had a team member that said, hey, I either went to jail or I come to the Army. And that particular, soldier was a leader. It was amazing. Like if he didn't find the Army or be put in that position, he wouldn't have understood his potential. And I still follow him because I want to see where he's going next. I'm talking about Fitzy. Fitzy was, man, that guy was just a leader.
So he's now an Army Ranger.
Yeah, now he's an Army
true.
Ranger, but he's an example, and I think about, like, a lot of us just, again, never being in combat, never serving, not fully understanding PTSD, but it is there. Can you expand on that?
Of course. PTSD is always a hard topic to talk about. It really is. Senior leaders that have grown up, seen a lot of combat, it's hard to talk about the situation, but it's easy for me to talk about the cure. What you got to do to be cured or to live day to day. To me, the first thing I have to do to get my mind right is exercise. I have to do it on a daily basis, or my brain's fogged and I'm just not going to be myself that day. I'm going to be in a bad mood. Something's going to tip off. You know what those endorphins do for your body, man. It's incredible. But it's also about, it's about seeking help. You got to go and see those professionals. That's why they're there. It's not a bad thing that you go and talk to people and just say, hey, I'm having a bad day. And, I thought about starting a revolver today. It happens. It happens on a daily basis all over the military. They think bad things, and the first thing that they put in their mind is, I'd rather be dead. Well, man, that's probably the worst thing you could ever think about, just because look at all the hurt, that you will bring with it. Um, I'd be lying if I didn't say that, there's many times that, I have thought about that. But what changes your mind is getting help, getting around people that think like you or have influence out there that are just great people. Because if you're hanging around the wrong crowd, if you're, not doing the right thing all the time, eventually all that's going to catch up with you. And, it's a weak mind. You just get drained, and it's a bad road to go down. I've seen soldier after soldier get in trouble. They're going out partying, drinking, whatever, and just living day to day in their life. Those are the soldiers that we really need to watch, because they're not ingrained into the institution of the Army. If they're ingrained into that institution, that leader is taking care of them and can see those signs that, hey, maybe this soldier needs more physical training, or hey, I'll take this soldier in with me to my my therapist appointment. Let him know that I'm weak. I'm not weak, that I have problems too. Because we got to change the culture, not just in the military, man. You see it in America. I mean, kids will commit suicide all over America, and did they reach out to anybody, or did their mom or dad see those signs? Did I would hate for anybody that I know to ever commit suicide, because I'm a phone call away. I'll talk to you at any hour of the day. I don't know about what, but I'll talk to you, and I will do anything. I'll drive over. We'll sit out and have a cigar. I don't care. I just don't want anybody, that suicide rate of 22 a day, it kills me for the military. And you can see the rise in the American people, the suicides and the drugs and all that. It keeps on going up in America. And I think what y'all are doing is it's my opinion that, man, you're saving a lot of lives. Think about all the lives that y'all have touched. How many bases have y'all been to, or how many locations has DEKA been to now?
We've put on 90. We've had 90 events at our affiliate gyms and road shows throughout COVID.
Think about the big picture, man. And I know y'all do, but for your listeners, think about that Private Hatfield that comes out to a DEKA event, and maybe he's not the best in shape, or maybe he's just looking for something. And y'all as leaders, y'all see that. Y'all will know when Private Hatfield comes up and just needs loving on, or get dusted off. But you're going to make a mark in that soldier's life, or that civilian's life, that they're going to follow you. They're going to be ingrained into you. You're going to have the bandwagon, the Scooby-Doo van following y'all around pretty soon. Y'all probably already do. But man, I get passionate about people that just change lives, that go around America trying to make America great. And that's what you two coaches, man, y'all are ingrained in my heart, because y'all continue to do that on a daily basis, man. I love you both, man.
Wow, we love you too.
I gotta
go ahead.
I gotta say something here. It only takes one person, if you're having those kind of thoughts, to I know I probably have 5 or 6 people that I would feel very comfortable contacting immediately if I was having thoughts like that. And you're one of those people. And there's plenty of us that have been in leadership roles where we don't lead in a way to break down barriers to where the youngsters under us would feel comfortable coming to us. That's a challenge to every single leader out there. And I know you would echo this, Mike. It's a challenge to everybody out there too. You gotta, as an older person of influence, you have to not put up barriers. You want the people that you're leading to say, that's somebody that I would truly call. Because if we pretend for a second there's somebody in our life right now that's not thinking about it the moment they're watching this podcast, we're doing the whole world a disservice, because it's happening. You do not put up barriers, and I have great respect. And that's one of the many reasons why you were an amazing leader for 31 years, because I know there's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of people over the 11,000 plus years of service that reached out to you, and you just never know when that reach out could save a life.
Yeah.
Amen, brother.
Yancy hit it early on, and I go back to even when we're filming, the exercise videos for the Alpha Warrior deck, that first time in San Antonio, I really truly didn't realize the mission just yet, Mike, until I met you, and I saw how emotional you were about the fitness of the U.S. Army and the military in general. How much you cared, how sincere and how authentic you were, and I think we say this a lot now. It's like, sometimes you got to be vulnerable as a leader to relate, to connect, and I think you do that naturally. That's just who you are as an individual, not just as a man that has protected our country, but just as a human being. And that's what I really respect about you. And you're right. I'm a big believer in who you surround yourself matters, whether that's in the military or in the civilian life, that we safely live in, or in some regards. I mean, we just had another shooting just outside of Denver in Boulder, Colorado yesterday, but there's a lot of lives that could be saved, by one simple thing, and that's 30 minutes of exercise and what it can do for you physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I'm not saying that, that pain doesn't come back or that depression doesn't come back, but I think we're all on that mission to positively impact lives through fitness. And you are a huge role model of that. And I would like, and I want to acknowledge David Nolan and Alpha Warrior too, because he picked the right guy, especially for the mission of Alpha Warrior. And I was hoping we could share a little bit about Alpha Warrior, because I proudly wear this hat. When I'm in the gym, I'll get one extra rep in, maybe go a little bit extra harder on that my zone effort, just because I'm wearing this hat. Can you tell us a little bit about Alpha Warrior and the good things that you guys are doing?
Of course, appreciate it. And I noticed your my zone. It was off this morning or something. It was kind of green all the way across. Jarod, I don't know what's up.
I didn't have my Alpha Warrior hat on.
Oh, I'm just giving you a hard time, man. I got a lot of red this morning. I'm still sweating. No. Hey, Alpha Warrior, they started as an obstacle course, and they were touring the country trying to market a protein bar, and I was still a green shooter, and I had an organization called Army Entertainment underneath me. I said, hey, General Milley told me to change the culture of the fitness, all this stuff. Go find me an obstacle course. American Ninja Warrior was hot at that time. And, believe it or not, they were here in San Antonio with me and no one knew about them. And I got to meet with David, and then the Air Force kind of joined in with us, and we kind of toured all over America, all over the world. Yancy's probably been to more countries, man. It's an incredible event. But we go out and we teach airmen and soldiers about fitness, kind of the same thing that you do on Boss Strong. We teach them about fitness, teaching them about life. We've only got 2 or 3 days with them, but we try to put that sphere of influence into them and talk about, using your body as a weapon system, and, getting after fitness on a daily basis, and then trying to stay connected with those airmen and soldiers throughout. We've done a great job. We've got about 110 bases that we're represented on, Army, Air Force, and the Navy. We do have the Navy base. But, our rigs are still out there. COVID hit. We kind of took it on the chin because all the bases closed down, wouldn't let us retirees or civilians on base, come to work or anything. So as a whole, the military, kind of struggled through that year with, basically fitness. They try to do it out or away from the bases or the teams and stuff. So we didn't get to go out last year. All of COVID year, we didn't get to go out. Mm-hmm. But normally we would do, regional competitions at all these bases. They'd get the best of the best, and then we'd bring them all into San Antonio, and we'd have the Moab, or the mother of all battles. And Yancy, I still got you on recording, man. You with all of our ninjas talking, man. You still get me hyped up, man. That's incredible. But see the best of every service: Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines coming in, and they bring their best, to Alpha Warrior, and they compete to see who is the Alpha Warrior. Man, it will bring tears to your eyes that you're doing great things for our military. We're gonna get back after it this year. It's tough, but Yancy, you've been there throughout the whole thing, and you can kind of talk about your experience with the mother of all battles, man, and kind of what you saw as Noah and Eric, man. They were going head to head, Air Force against Army, and trying to see 10-year senior Eric, was still keeping up with Noah with the Air Force. But man, what an epic event.
Yeah, that was one of the most well-rounded tests of all levels of fitness that I think that we had ever put together. And it was, I think, when we talk about some of the things we were doing together with the same mission is gamifying fitness and creating those healthy competitions where, the battle of the branches and where the branches would come together after a full year of improving their fitness. I think that was brilliance. And your mission, Mike, was to let's improve fitness throughout the year, and then let's all come together. I know from Jarod and I both, we learned so much from you and what we both consider. And Jarod doesn't have to be here, and I know he would echo exactly what I'm saying. One of the greatest leaders both of us have ever had the opportunity to work with.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
The feeling is mutual. The love I got for you guys, man. And, there's very few coaches out there that can walk in to an Army facility and get, the presence down and get the leadership down, being the servant leader and, just giving it your all. Soldiers, y'all saw it, man. They'll gravitate to you, man. You show them you care, you love them, and you're going to do everything you can for them. They will gravitate to you. And man, y'all too, it was just amazing to watch the coaches kind of mingle with how y'all all bonded. And man, I know y'all still contact them all on a daily basis or weekly basis, man. It's incredible.
I talked to Elvis Lieberg yesterday, one of our only Marines in 2018.
Mike, I always think back to when Yancy and I were putting together the Prove It speech for Alpha Warrior, and we were so damn inspired being on that base, and we were just like two little kids putting everything like, well, we're gonna have Joe Decker say this, Wes's gonna say this, Caleb's gonna say that, and in fact, I posted it this morning because I was getting so jacked up to talk to you, man. I was even though we know each other so well, I was nervous for this one. It's like when you respect somebody at this level, you get the nerves going. You're like, man, I want this to go really good because I want to impress Mike. I want to make sure Mike has a good time on this. And you inspire me so much. And I know that we're going to all continue to work together because I think what we're talking about, when we're talking about bringing the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines all together, it's the same way we're approaching the fitness world, the commercial fitness world. It's like, hey, forget about the competition. Forget about there's CrossFit and there's High Rocks and there's DEKA and there's Spartan. It's like, hey, we're all here to impact lives through fitness. So if you want to compete and you want to point fingers, then you're not on the right team. Because the ones that we're all in this together. And I have nothing but huge respect for Alpha Warrior and the greatness and the impact that you guys are creating. And I'm so grateful to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. How do you follow that?
Well, go ahead.
I'm gonna put a bow on it like this. The reason Jarod and I say what we do is because you are a great leader, Mike. Jarod felt the nervous butterflies for the same reason that I did. And they're amazing nervous butterflies. Is that because when we know we get to be around you, we're going to raise our game. We're damn sure not going to be lazy. We're going to respect the situation, and we're going to freaking bring our A game. And that's because of you. And that's why you're a damn good leader. And I know that's why you'll continue to be a damn good leader. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with every one of us as leaders trying to be that person. And in the same breath, we want to rise up and meet your standard, but we still love you and we'll do anything for you. And that's the definition of a good leader in my eyes. And if I can be half the leader that you are for the rest of my life, then I'm going to be a pretty damn good leader if I can meet half your standard. And that's just the way I look at it.
Hey,
props to you, my friend.
Here's one for you. Vince Lombardi, the NFL athletes, right? Phil Jackson, the NBA athletes. Command Sergeant Major Mike Hatfield, the country's most important athletes.
There we go.
Man, y'all don't get me all teared up, man. I'm gonna have to go off camera for a minute, man.
One of the reasons we did this, Mike, is because we wanted to provide kind of a legendary. We wanted to put you up on a podium for 99% of people listening to this are not veterans, are not active duty. That's not who will be watching this for the most part. We wanted them to see behind the scenes of a great leader that served his country for 11,315 days, and that's it's kind of to commemorate you, my friend.
Man, I appreciate you both, man. Again, there is no way that Mike Hatfield ever changed anything. I had a vision, and I said, I want the best. And when I brought in the coaches, to change the culture, man, you guys changed it. You guys changed the culture of the Army. That is an incredible feat. Now, there'll be pundits out there to say, oh, it was already going that way. It was doing this. No, man, y'all were at the ground floor. You got so much influence on those young soldiers that we had to change. We had to change the way we do fitness. That's incredible. And now, man, y'all are not only changing what we did in the military, but you're changing America's fitness. That's just amazing. You're out there on the road, beating the streets down, making calls. Y'all are, man, I can only imagine y'all's schedule right now, going from East Coast to West Coast to going up north, down south. I need to get to Denver one day there, Jarod, but yeah, y'all are just amazing coaches, amazing human beings. I'm proud to be associated with you guys, man. You just, man, again, changing America. It's going to be a hard feat, but you know what? Y'all are doing it. One step at a time, and sooner or later, every American will know about DEKA. They'll come out. They'll if they're not participating, they're going to apply, or they're going to read about it. You're not going to have naysayers, because those naysayers, man, they don't belong. They don't belong anywhere. The negative attitudes and stuff like that, don't pay attention to them. Y'all are incredible, what you're doing for America, man. And again, I love you both, man.
Well, we love you too.
That's our Mike.
Yeah.
Mike, thank you so much. I think we've got some good stuff here to share for sure. And man, I didn't expect to get emotional like that. Actually, I kind of did, because I felt like even I was in the shower getting ready, and man, it means so much to reconnect with you. And I think now that we're outside of this pandemic and things are starting to get somewhat normal, I can't wait till we see each other face to face and get to reunite, together. And I'll tell you what, man, when we get the Denver DEKA Fit going here, I'm gonna make damn sure you're the one that starts us off. You're gonna start the
That's
first
what I'm
heat.
talking about, man.
Yeah,
we'll be in Dallas this Saturday. Hey, before I forget, thank you very much for sharing your Purple Heart stories. I really, you had briefly shared that with me in 2017, and I know that's just out of respect for those who served in the Army. It's not something that you hardly ever talk about. So I really appreciate you sharing that with with the civilians that'll listen to this. That means a lot to us.
I think that's the other part of this is just like so many of us just don't understand everything that's going on in the inside, and then you get the people that, are anti-war and all that stuff. And it's just like, hey, we've got good people in there protecting us, and we need them, and we need to make sure that they're okay. These aren't robots. These are human beings that are friends to people in the community, to civilians and so forth. And it just doesn't, I just think most people never fully understand unless they get that experience to even come to a base. It's like, man, this isn't just the military. This is filled with human beings that are making sacrifices that nobody else would ever understand. So when Yancy shared that phrase, our country's most important athletes, that has always resonated with me, man.
Let me tell you something, Mike. In the podcast world these days, we're supposed to keep things short and sweet. And
right.
I wanted to do my best in that intro because if it was me personally, and not the 20-somethings that like to get everything in 15 seconds, I would have read down through your entire resume. I'd have taken 12, 15 minutes to do it because out of respect for you. And here's why. When I was reading through that resume in preparation the last couple of days, I thought back to 1995 when I earned my plane captain certification on the H-53 Echo, and I studied my effing ass off because I knew I had to score 100%. If I scored a 99%, I was not going to get that designation. And I wasn't going to be able to be a plane captain instructor and teach other young airmen how to take care of the H-53 Echo helicopter. And I remember it was a different level. And I'm reading down through your full page of that. My one plane captain instructor, you got like 47 of those. And I'm thinking, that's thousands of days of going to class, studying, passing an exam, getting a new certification, getting an achievement to that, because next week we're going to be out in the field and shit's going to be flying at us and our lives are going to be in danger. And that's why I wanted the civilians watching to say, I wanted them to grasp, listen, 99% doesn't freaking cut it. That's a failure grade. I don't get to be a plane captain instructor, and you don't get to do the 97 things that you led soldiers in if you score 99%, because 99%, it don't work in that world. It's got to be 100%. So I would have loved to read your whole damn resume, but I hope Jarod and I did it somewhat justice for people. Paint the picture for them, really what it means to serve for 11,000 freaking days.
Man, y'all are incredible.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Headspace. You deserve to feel happier, and Headspace is meditation made simple. Go to headspace.com/Spartan for a free 1-month trial with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Combat Series on Spartan Up Podcast. Spartan Up is your partner in resilience for mind, body, and spirit. We're here 3 days every week. Tuesdays, you can find Joe DeSena, founder and CEO of Spartan, interviewing biohackers, business leaders, authors, and athletes. Thursdays and Saturdays, catch episodes from our DEKA, Endurance, Trail, Combat, and La Ruta series. Do you know someone who needs a little nudge? Maybe they could use some motivation, tactics to be stronger, healthier, happier, more successful. Tell them about our show. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment. We want to know who's watching and who's listening. Thanks. See you next time.